is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
When you give the people what they want, you have to have the people's champ, Paul Wall, on the show. He is joining us later, but first we have a lot of NBA action from last night to discuss. Two Eastern Conference powerhouses went face-to-face, the Bucks and the Sixers, and it came down to the last couple possessions. James Harden could not make that three. Giannis could make the block. They reviewed it. It was a good block, and the Bucks got the win. But Jalen, you wanted to prepare for the show today, so you called the producers and you gave them specific plays from the end of this game that you wanted to break down in detail. Take us through them.
Incredible championship-level execution by Giannis, the league's reigning finals MVP, and I'm going to give you a nugget for Jrue Holiday. He's the best player in the NBA that nobody ever talks about. I was sitting there thinking last night, Jrue Holiday has to be a top 20, 25 player in the league. If you really think about what he does. He locks down defensively, he's a 20-point scorer, and he's still giving you 5 rebounds and or 5 assists. And look at this play in particular. Now, this is Jrue Holiday throwing the lob to Giannis in the half court off a pick and roll action. That right there is Giannis. Remember people said Giannis couldn't shoot?
He can shoot.
Giannis didn't have no problems hesitating and pulling up from 18. And you see Jrue Holiday in the mid-range. Please show one more Jrue Holiday play again. Show the play where he scored on Embiid. On this play, Jacoby, they threw it to him long. He caught it in the paint. He saw Embiid in front of him. He was patient and brought it back out. He still had Embiid on him. Normally, when a guard has a 7-footer on him with Embiid size and defensive prowess, they do a hezzy and shoot a jumper. Dog, he did a dribble move, went left, and shot a runner and made it. And Giannis, the last play when you said Harden missed, yeah, Harden did miss. You know why? Because Giannis contested it and made him miss. And then the other block that was underneath, when Joel got the offensive rebound, he tried to throw it up there quick, and Giannis with the recovery. And so what I saw again, now look at this play. Giannis is the one that contested Harden. He's also the one that blocked Embiid. You following me, fam? And later in the game, while Joel Embiid was terrific, he's been terrific all year. Like, he deserves to be 1 or 2 in the MVP conversation. And James Harden was having a terrific game offensively. But in the fourth quarter, that offense got stagnated. And the players that were scoring weren't their 2 best players. In a couple of actions that they had, you saw Embiid tried to hit Harden on the right side, and he threw it out of bounds. And so as I look at the Eastern Conference standings, I'm like, wait a minute. The Bucks have a better record. When I start to think about the stats and comparing Embiid and Giannis, they scored the same amount of points this year.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Both 62 games, the same amount of points. It's going to be really hard splitting hairs for those guys as it relates to choosing an MVP. That game was an awesome thing to watch. And those standings in the Eastern Conference are so terrific. I can't wait for the postseason.
Yeah, but if you look at 1 through 4, it is very tight, with the Sixers coming off the loss last night at the very bottom of that list. However, the Sixers have a very favorable schedule coming down the stretch. They've got 2 games against the Pistons. We all know about the Pistons. They've got 2 games with the Pacers. So it looks to me like they will have enough room to maybe get themselves in the conversation and make up some of that ground that they lost last night. I really appreciate your appreciation for Jrue Holiday, but top 20 player in the league, no chance. No chance is he top 20. Me and you might have to have a beverage and go through it, but he ain't top 20 in my book, I'll tell you that much. But moving on to another game and another team that we have spent way too much time talking about, and today is the day that we can end it all because, of course, I'm talking about the dumpster fire that is the Los Angeles Lakers. No LeBron, no AD. Luka was there. They gave up 82, 86 points. I think it was 82 points at the half, Jalen. Luka made light work of the Lakers, who are now out of the play-in. Not only will they not make the playoffs, they won't even make the play-in. This is ridiculous.
Well, this is where Jalen and Jacoby take you deeper into the box score. And I got some information for you. We just talked about the MVP race, and Luka's been amazing. He deserves to be in that conversation also. He's definitely going to be all NBA. But just think about this. Let's talk about the scoring title for a second. You might look at the Lakers and say, if I'm LeBron James, I ain't coming back to this team. The season over. Jacoby just said it. We out of the play-in. We ain't going to, win the championship for sure. And if we do make the playoffs, we get bounced in the first round. Why would LeBron come back to this team? Let me tell you why. He needs to play 3 more games to qualify for the scoring title.
That's the magic number. That's the magic number, yeah. 3 more games. Some tells me even with that ankle twisted, he's going to play 3, maybe 4 games, and he's going to put up 40 in each of them just to lock up that scoring title at his age.
And I'm not mad at it. I appreciate the fact that he's still finding motivation playing on a team that he clearly knows is not going to meet expectations. It's unfortunate that Anthony Davis has just been, devastated this season by injury at the most inopportune time. And something that was pointed out to me on social media, I wish I knew the handle, shout out J&J when you can. They pointed out to me something, and you'll appreciate this marketing and promotions 101. When the Lakers lose, which LeBron. They've done 40 plus times this year or so?
Yeah.
They never use LeBron in the post that acknowledges the team lost tonight's game on Twitter. They never use LeBron's picture. But they use Malik Monk's all of the time. You know what I'm saying? How about that for marketing 101? But in all honesty, LeBron James and the Lakers, they got a major offseason to turn this thing around. But those standings look ugly if you're a Lakers fan.
Yep, they're out now, and if you look at their upcoming schedule, they've got a couple games that they should win on there, but there are some big matchups, especially that Friday game against the Pelicans, who are in the play-in right now. Jalen, while we're all waiting for LeBron and AD to come back, someone else came back in Los Angeles last night and had an immediate impact. It wasn't just Paul George coming back to the Clippers, but the Clippers themselves coming back from a deficit to beat the Jazz. Paul George played 31 minutes, had 34 points, 6 for 9 from 3, Jalen.
His aggression is what I appreciated. And Donovan Mitchell had 33. For him to return to the lineup and perform the way he did against an opponent like the Utah Jazz, while it says so very much for the Clippers in this year's playoffs, shout to Tyronn Lue. You know what I'm saying? Y'all need to start putting some respect on his name as a coach, because what he's getting out of Reggie Jackson and he's getting out of players deeper into his roster is been really outstanding watching them perform without Kawhi, and then you see PG return, they almost looking like a well-oiled machine. But let me go to the other side, because there was 2 teams on the floor. I'm worried about the Jazz. I'm worried about the Jazz. Remember the team? Remember me? We got the Jazz. We got the Jazz. Nobody was up in the more than me, right? Nobody was up in the more than me, right? They was knocking on 2 seed, 3 seed last couple of years.
Not anymore.
Lost in the playoffs, and then now all of a sudden, look at the Jazz. Tied with the Nuggets without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.? Oh, man, tied with the, they're definitely going to be judged by what happens to them in the playoffs. And if something, like you mentioned, doesn't happen where they continue to advance, they're going to do a shakeup, in my opinion.
They have Danny Ainge over there in the front office now. Got Dwayne Wade in ownership. Some tells me if they are unceremoniously bounced from the playoffs again this year, which currently I would have them losing to the Mavericks in a 7-game series, some tells me that Mr. Gobert might be on the trading block this offseason. A lot of time before that happens, though, and a lot more action in the league last night. Jalen, I watched way too much of your Pistons last night. It was another Kevin Durant show, 41 points and 11 rebounds, leading them to the win with Kyrie Irving on the floor at Barclays. Jalen, this one was pretty close until the very end there.
KD torches everybody, especially the Pistons. He had 50 on us earlier in the year. But while we're going to talk about the Nets because they have a lot of basketball to play, we assume, based on the play-in and the playoffs, based on their talent level. And it was good to see Andre Drummond playing against his former squad as well.
Let's talk Cade. Let's talk Cade.
Let's talk about Cade right now.
He was
scoring off the dribble, right? He was guarding KD. We were on the road. And it didn't matter who was guarding him. Equal opportunity in play. Get out of that zone, Andre. Get this KD and one.
I'll take it right to KD's chest. Right to KD's chest at the end of the game. Cade Cunningham looked really good last night, and I understand if you're not watching a lot of Pistons games, but he, in the second half of the season, has really turned it on. And he might not win Rookie of the Year because I feel like in a lot of voters' minds, they've already given it to Mobley. But every single performance, especially with Mobley being out, he is closing that gap and having a great year for the Pistons, who are developing. Jalen Rose, I've been waiting for this for years. Who is joining us on the program in just coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here in the Seaport, New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose joining us right now is the People's Champ. It is Paul Wall joining Jalen and Jacoby. Thank you so much for taking the time.
What it do, baby? Yes, sir.
That Oilers chain is dope. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Yes, sir.
Thank you so
Proud
much.
Happy to be here. Love y'all.
Thank you so much for taking the time. You have a new album coming out with Terminology April 8th. What can we expect from this project?
Fire hip-hop produced by Static Selector, Pete Rock, and Terminology. You're going to get straight beats, straight bars. You know what we like, man. Number beats and bars is what we're going to get on there. Straight fire, man.
Representing H-Town to the fullest, feet on the wood. James Harden was leading y'all to the playoffs. And then he decided that he didn't want to be in H-Town anymore. How did you feel about that?
I feel his frustration and when want to try something new. I can't be mad at that. He dedicated a large portion of his career to playing in Houston. We love his times here. I wish him the best. I'm glad he's not with the Nets no more. I was not rooting for them. Now that he's gone, I'm rooting back for him. So, you know what I'm saying? Whatever James Harden do, we wish him the best, man. We wish he could have stayed with the Rockets, but it is what it is. We got the young guy, though, Jalen, boy. Man, that boy.
Now, I got to ask you about that. So, my name's I'm rooting for him. Did you see his dunk last night?
Man, this man be in-game dunking. This man is a beast. Now, I was so hyped to see this man in the dunk contest. I was a little disappointed with the outcome, but man, this boy is a beast. His in-game dunks is nasty. And this is one of my biggest grievances with the younger players. It used to be in our generation of watching the younger players play, they couldn't wait to get in that dunk contest and mash them boys and show them what they about.
Preach.
Now they all too cool for the dunk contest, man. So I'm like, is y'all fake beasts or y'all real beasts? Y'all hype beasts or what? Jalen Green, man, hey, I'm telling you right, man, he coming for that dunk contest trophy nation.
I
man.
love
He's
it.
coming for it.
Love it.
There's a lot of young talent on the Rockets. Do you like the way that this nucleus is forming this year, even though they're not winning games?
Hey, even though they're not winning games, every game they play is filled with excitement. I'm talking about start to finish, just like me in Terminology, man. They're filled with nothing but excitement. They're going to hang in there now. They're going to lose. They're going to end up losing at the end. But they're going to give every team a run for their money. Some of the best teams in the NBA, they've been going hard on them, taking it down to the buzzer, taking it to overtime. And to see, just them growing, they're so young, man. Whenever they get that cohesiveness down, we're going to have something special here for the Rockets, man. You mark my words on that.
I agree with you. Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, they balling. And they're building something special. I definitely agree with you. But I have to ask you something else. As a OG in the game, an artist, a DJ, an entrepreneur, you're just as known for that as the grills that you have in your mouth. So talk about the formation of doing the grills and how you and your partner really cornered that market and took it to the next level.
I was selling them out my trunk. I was selling them out all the stores we would sell Switch House mixtapes out of. I go post up and sell grills out of there. Come through there once a week, once every other week, and it'd be, you know, I'm just, hey, what's up? I got grills, Switch House tapes. What you want? I got it. You know, and we really just out hustled a lot of people.
That's
so,
dope.
Hey, it's just a testament to doing good business, man. Shout out to my partner Johnny Dang. What's up, baby? Yeah, man, I'm gonna hook y'all up with some grills.
I need that. I need that. I can't front. Last night I was watching the NBA and I saw John Morant sitting on the sideline with one. I was like, I've been talking about doing this since high school. So I gotta ask you a question before we let you get out of here. So Houston has hosted a couple of All-Star weekends. I've ranked Houston as my top 5 as it relates to champagning and campaigning cities. What are some of your favorite memories as it relates to being out and about and seeing other athletes enjoying Houston and spreading the love?
My favorite memory, absolute favorite, is after the greatest baseball team in the history of baseball won the World Series in 2017, and we was out partying. Yeah, shout out to my boy Bregman, shout out to my boy Lance McCullers Jr. We was out there getting it in. Yeah, that's my greatest memory. Shout out to the Astros.
How do you feel about the Astros turning into the villains of Major League Baseball?
Hey, I love it. I love it.
They still keep the rings. They keep the rings.
Man, for 50 years, we didn't exist. For 50 years, we was a Passover city. You know what I'm saying? For baseball, we didn't exist. Of course, everybody hate us for the same things that they were doing. Of course, they mad at us for winning for the same things they were doing that they lost at. Of course, they mad at us for winning, even though we might have bent the rules a little bit, and they bent them the next year, the same year, the following years, for 10 years, man. Of course, they mad at us for doing the same thing they did. All the players, man, if they end up getting traded or a free agent, go to another team, hey, man, they gonna go get that check and they gonna get cheers. Them same teams is booing them. They gonna get cheers when they put on their jersey. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Astros. We taking it back. 2022. What's up, baby? What it do, man? What it do?
I support this, Jacoby. I am not mad at this at all. Because right now the Yankees are under investigation for stealing signs, literally. Like right now, as we speak. And so you heard it from the people's champ. Jalen and Jacoby, we give the people what they want. You know what to do. April 8th. He has an album, Power Wall with Terminology. Make sure you go support. We appreciate you, family, and I'll see you this summer. Jalen and Jacoby will be down there to break bread.
I got you grills on ice, baby, both of y'all. What it do?
All right. The
Yes,
people's
indeed.
champ,
All
Paul
right.
Wall. We'll be back right after this. You're watching. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we said we were going to do this every day, and we continue to recognize that Brittany Griner, superstar WNBA player, is still detained in Russia. This is now day 41.
Day 41, she's still detained in Russia. We're going to acknowledge this fact every day on Jalen and Jacoby, sending prayers and well wishes to Brittany, her family, her supporters. Come home soon.
Jalen, myself and the rest of Bills Mafia was a little upset, not just because it took Patrick Mahomes 12 seconds to tie the game, and then Patrick Mahomes just easily won the game, but Josh Allen never got to touch the ball in overtime. Well, the NFL owners have approved a modified rule for overtime just for the playoffs where both teams are guaranteed a possession. This seems like a no-brainer, gonna make the game better, gonna make the playoffs better. Is there any reason that this should not happen, Mr. Rose?
No reason at all. We got to get our special Bills correspondent, senior correspondent,
Yes.
Benny the Butcher, on to talk about this. How about the fact that it took the NFL this long to actually do this, Jacoby?
I know.
Like, it's one of those things, it's like, I want to give them credit for changing the rules, but I feel like this should have happened 30 years ago.
It's like moving back to extra point too. Like, what are we doing with the extra point from the 3-yard line? Like, what are we even doing? What is this exercise? Like taking a free throw from a layup. But Jalen, there's one modification I still don't fully understand. Why do we even have a timed element to overtime? If there is no such thing as a tie, why do we put this like 15-minute cap on overtime? It seems to me if we're going by possessions, it should be a little bit more like college where we don't have a ticking clock to play against.
I think having the time just creates a sense of urgency when you're playing the sport. And also between each play, there's a play clock as well. So I'm okay with the regular clock and the play clock continuing to function as normal, understanding it still is not going to be a tie.
But if I'm in a tie game and the play clock itself is dwindling down to 0, why should I have to rush to finish my possession? Because we're just going to start over a whole nother period. We can get into those details later, but there is something big that I need to share with you, Mr. Rose. Eldrick Tiger Woods played golf yesterday at Augusta in advance.
And I'm wishing him all the best.
I want to see Tiger Woods in the field at the Masters. I want to see him make the cut. However, I think I'll get the first thing. Not sure I will get the second thing. I want to give a shout to Paul Wall for coming through and blessing us. We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN 2.
Got to get my drill done.